Hello.
Hey, I'm back.
Baby doll. I have a question for you. In a relationship, is it God, your partner, or your child first? What is it? What is the healthiest thing for a relationship? God first in your marriage or your partnership, your partner, or your child?
Is this the cult conversation? What's going on here?
No, but we're going to talk about that documentary, which was so good. 7M, the TikTok cult. Oh, Robert Shine.
I think there is compromise to be made with all three. I don't think the reality is you can't, if you're going to prioritize and say this is that and then that, I like, I guess here's a better question. Like if you and God and KJ are all drowning, do I have to choose who to save? Because that's the ultimate priority question then.
Oh my God, who do you choose? That's so hard.
I mean,
God.
I assume God because he does so much in theory for the world.
In theory, excuse me.
I'm not a great swimmer, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep you afloat. I think I can keep KJ afloat, so I'd probably go God then KJ then you. No offense, but that's you like to give me the surprise question at some point. Is this? I assume this is the surprise question.
It is this. I want to, because I was thinking about this. I saw something online about a lot of people put, in a marriage, there's a debate. There's always a debate. Is it God? Do you put God first, that your relationship, your dedication, your prayer, your weekly attendance of church, your tithing, is that first? And that leads to you being a better person and therefore a better parent, a better spouse. I see a lot of people online talking about you have to put your spouse first.
Happy wife.
Happy wife, happy life. And I was thinking in our own marriage, what do we do? And currently, I believe that we put KJ first. KJ is our priority. And to the fact that you were actually super annoying yesterday because you
go on.
You like to point out everything I'm doing wrong in parenting. And I was like, can you take a job where you can go to the office 3 days a week? Because
I'm looking for one. I'll make it 5 days a week.
I need a break. But I was thinking we put KJ first. And my mom always said that in her marriage with my dad when he was alive. She always said after they got married and they had kids, she's like, the kids, that's going to be our priority. But people say that's very unhealthy. So
let's dissect all this. And this might be longer than a 30-minute podcast. The KJ is our pride and joy. And much like many other parents, we all love our kids. So we're going to prioritize a lot of things for our child in terms of the schools he goes to, the opportunities he has, the activities that we put him in. So there's all that. But the problem that occurs is when couples neglect their own relationship with each other and use the child as the excuse for it. So, we find time to go do things together as a family. It's hard for us to do things together without KJ, but we've done that before. We've gone to concerts, we've gone to restaurants. And religion is an individual thing. I think everyone has their own relationship and dynamic with religion and the man upstairs. So, that's not for me to say. Well, if it works for you, if it works for you, great. If it works, but for me, my priority is family.
Okay, but what would you say right now? You have to answer. In our house, where is the priority at? And of course, relationship shift, but it's
how we tend our relationships are going to be based on the relationships that exist. You are a strong, independent, hot woman, 21st century woman. I do not need to lavish attention or dote on you, even though I do. KJ is a 3-year-old child who is still learning how to function. So he's going to get a little more attention, but that doesn't mean our relationship is less of a priority.
Okay.
How about that?
It's the most diplomatic politician answer
stuck the landing
there ever was to say that KJ is our first priority. No, I think KJ is priority one in our house right now. And I just wonder, I'm wondering, like, we have to, I guess I just think, I wonder if that's good or if we should really be.
It becomes problematic when, again, the relationship or the issues that you and I have get ignored. And this is why there are, I mean, we probably can name off the top of our head friends of ours who, as soon as they graduated high school and they were out of the house, or they were the last ones out of the house, their parents divorced.
I could name so many. I know.
Right.
I could name a lot.
And unfortunately, you either get to a point where you're just, two ships passing each other in the night, or you're ignoring the root issues, and we will not get to that point.
I hope not, but I was thinking, we don't really do date nights
We
because
have a
we don't want to
3-year-old.
leave
Just we have
KJ
a 3-year-old.
and on our own.
Mhm.
And, we have to
What are we
cultivate.
doing on September 2nd or 3rd, whatever that Sunday is?
Oh, well, we are going to go see Christopher Cross together
And
because
Toto.
our song is the theme song to Arthur.
It's one of our songs.
It is.
If you get caught between the moon and New York City, I know it's crazy, but it's true.
I know. You're good. You're actually pretty Christopher
Thank you.
Crossy.
Well, I've been in a Christopher Cross tribute band.
You were not.
Mhm.
I know you were in a bowling league, but you weren't on a.
No, that's a joke though.
That would be
Okay.
so good. All right. Well, I just think we got to keep an eye on our relationship because I see these TikToks.
Okay. Trust me, I'm not worried about you keeping an eye on our relationship.
Well, I mean, I do think like, oh, are we going to have hobbies together? For years, we've talked about having a hobby together. We don't. We were going to go shoot guns together. That
No.
got canceled. And like, then you want a wood shop. You want a garage where you can go tinker and make whittle and things. So I'm like, oh, could I make doll houses? Like, could that
Yeah,
be?
do it.
Could that be our goal? Okay. Well, anyhow.
Good
Okay.
surprise question. Thanks.
All right. Well, I like throwing them out there. All
Mhm.
right. So 3 other things we're going to address on today's podcast is our review of the Netflix documentary 7M that
Mhm.
people are starting to talk about. It's about the TikTok cult. Also, Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. Do you think women are so jealous that they are going to sink themselves in the WNBA? Do you think Caitlin Clark is a villain in real life, which is why the WNBA players don't like her? Or do you think they're all in on the take and they're making and creating drama because they know
like
people are talking
WWE,
about
like
it? Are they
oh,
WWEing it? What do we think? And
Galaxy brain stuff right there.
do we think that the women of the WNBA are going to be able to understand that rising tides lift all boats or not really? So we'll talk about that. And then lastly, people asked us, or well, I asked over the weekend because we were really struggling. KJ seems to have a sleep regression. So do you cut the nap or do you push back the bedtime? Because we put him to bed at 7:30, which by the way, the internet, most of the people that follow me think that's crazy.
Well,
That's way too early.
let's get into the people on the internet when we get to that topic.
Okay. So let's start with 7M, the documentary, which I actually think you were engaged with. I loved. It's about these TikTok dancers. By the way, the family, the Phil Wilkins family is from outside Detroit,
Mhm.
Michigan. Miranda Wilkin. They are sisters. And one of the sisters is in a cult out here in Los Angeles.
Hold on. Spoiler alert, everyone. If you haven't seen it, pause, go watch it, and then hit play.
Oh my God, it's so good. So here's Miranda Derrick. She got married. And her husband is also allegedly in the TikTok cult of Robert Shine. And he is
Shine or Chin?
Shin. Is it Shin? Robert Shin?
thought
I
it
mean,
was
I
Shin.
always get whatever I say is wrong.
It was
So it's
CHIN, so I'm just going phonetically.
oh,
But anyways,
are you sure?
it might be a Shine. I don't know.
I thought it was Shine. The Shine.
Like SHINE?
I thought it was SHINN.
You know what? A crack research team here at the Sarah Fraser Show. I believe it's CHIN.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah,
well, whatever.
anyways.
You know what? Sorry, I was captivated by the dances.
Okay.
So Miranda Derrick and her husband, along with a handful of other dancers, are reportedly in a cult out here by this guy, Robert, who has done many different things, which cult leaders often do. He had a successful mortgage company at one point. He has his own church now. And somehow along the way, he ends up discovering through his own son that he can make a boatload of money through these young kids on doing dances on TikTok with the brand endorsements and their views and everything. So he starts to create 7M Management, which is now getting a lot of heat. And the documentary is so good. It's so detailed
Mhm.
because almost these dancers are in a cult, but in plain sight, if you will.
Sure.
Because Robert, they have these secret recordings that they play in the documentary where Robert encourages them, go socialize with your family. You don't want to go home for Christmas, too bad. Go home for Christmas. Because essentially Robert's strategy is that if you're on social media with your family, then everybody thinks it's fine.
Well, at first, all of the individuals of this alleged cult cut off ties with their family.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then that dug several families deeper into their investigations and research, showing up at the house where these dancers were living, trying to track them down, trying to confront them. And then they, part of that uh, those actions by those dancers to cut the families off were from the direct instructions of Robert, the leader, the head pastor of this church. And then, as these families got a little more involved trying to track their kids down, um, that's where he pivoted and said, no, you need to engage them and let them know
Yes.
you're okay. And then all the dancers would, but they all drew some line of, if you're going to my push against my participation or involvement in the church, I will cut you off. And so quite devious to manipulate, and how he was supposedly manipulating these youngsters. I say youngsters, they're in their 20s. Um,
Oh, it can happen so quickly, but
yeah.
they really heavily feature the Wilkins family,
Mhm.
Melanie and Miranda, who are sisters. Miranda Derrick is now married to the other B Dash guy who's a dancer.
Mhm.
They all have millions of followers on TikTok. And Miranda's really been estranged from them. She really is, they feel, a completely a part of
Yep.
this cult with Robert, right? And so the documentary, isn't the documentary so interesting that it's really very emotional,
Mhm.
very deep. Some other former members of Robert Schein's group say they were sexually assaulted by him, but so far the LAPD has not made an arrest. And I guess we never get a clear understanding why. If I think it's a little bit to do with the statute of limit. I think it's like the
Well,
it's
there's the apparently a lot of the concerned parents, or at least a couple, they profile two concerned two sets of concerned parents
mm,
who end up working together to some degree. Um, and they approach LAPD and say, we think our child has been, you know, they can't really say abducted because they're adults.
mhm,
And LAPD claims or in the documentary claims that the LAPD won't take any action because there is no evidence of a crime occurring and these individuals are legal adults. So, this was trafficking, or some sort of child trafficking, then they could take some action. But because these are adults who are apparently part of this church, um, you know, within their own volition and will, then they can't do anything about it.
right.
So they just continue to press on social media because so much of their lives, these dancers' lives, are putting putting content out on social media, which is, as an aside, if we're going to rank interesting things about this, like the whole TikTok dancing craze is so fucking stupid. And this might be old man, yells at cloud type thing, but I, like, yes, it's visually appealing, right? These people dancing and choreography, but I just don't get it.
I have to say, I don't get it either. And by the way, the family's last name is the Wilking family that it really follows, this family with Melanie Miranda. I don't get it either. I mean, and the more I watch their videos, because of course you can't help but be on your phone while you're watching this documentary
Mhm.
and look up these people. It's just so, I don't
What
know. I
what's
mean, I guess what I do, maybe people think, well, you talk about reality people, what a low level job. So I guess I can't criticize them, but I feel like they're along my lines of a low level gig. Like how really
Where do
so
they
dumb,
fit? Where do
right?
they fit in on the A to Z list?
Well, they're right around where I am.
Mhm.
We're around the T, the
Mhm.
ST vibe
Yep.
because it's like it's really dumb, isn't it? When
It's
you
like I can't
I
like this
know.
is how people get famous and maybe
So many of them,
it's
the D'Amelios
yeah,
and Addison
I
Rae,
got in the
they
wrong
get movie
business.
deals.
I should have
And
been.
it is kind of funny because it's like, is
Well,
there anybody you can think of that you watch their dance moves and you're like, wow, that's insane? Aside from when you're at a Broadway show.
no. I like it is it is impress I can appreciate it. But the so I think you can dance type shows, that's just not my cup of tea. What I found to be um as I was watching the documentary, and they're profiling these families who are trying to get in touch with their family, their child, and the persistence and the dedication that they're putting in is remarkable. But at the same time, at some point, and this is where like I think about individuals who are gone in terms of extreme political views or lifestyle or addictions.
Mm.
Like you keep fighting for them, but at what point do you just say like I can't, like I not to say you have to give up, but it's like I can't save this person anymore.
You don't if it's your kid, like,
Yeah.
because they like they said, I mean, they raised her for so many years, till she was 21, 22. B dash, they like had him at their house during the pandemic. I know what you're saying, and when you go to Al-Anon or you go to AA, Al-Anon, they will say you have to be ready to let your loved one drink themselves to death or used or overdose, use drugs to death. And that's I don't know. I mean, I feel like I always think you can't give up. You can't make
Mhm.
yourself ill over it because ultimately they have to be the ones that leave the cult or change. But I don't think you do give up, do you?
No,
I
well, it's
mean,
giving up is
or
like if it's impacting your personal health and well-being, then you have to consider. But there's always I have a friend of mine whose own son is in a kind of a toxic relationship, and it's really strained him. And I told him that all you can do is tell him I'm here for you. I'm whenever you need help, I'm here, and I want to be part of your life, but you know, I it's making it very difficult for me to do this because of the relationship you're in, and that's all you can, like it's hard to, at some point you cross the line where you can't make yourself ill or impact your own
yeah.
health.
Yeah. No, it's such an interesting documentary to watch because I think it makes you think about a lot of different things. Like how far would you go for your child? Once your child's an adult, would you just let them go? Is it better to just have some contact with her? Because the Wilking family essentially in the documentary decides it's better to see her,
Mhm.
not talk about Robert, and have it be all surface than to have her not in their lives.
Yeah.
But other former cult members are like, "Don't do that
No, you've
because
got it. You're enabling them to some degree.
right.
Yeah.
You're allowing Robert to play out his narrative, which is if they all go on social media together,
Yep.
but I don't know. I mean, isn't that fascinating? I thought the whole thing was interesting because Miranda, the one that's in the alleged cult, knew they were filming this,
Yeah.
continued to see him,
Well, she
declined to be a part
at
of
one
it.
point she started filming them when she came back to visit.
That was one time,
Yeah.
and then when that blew up in their faces,
Mhm.
so then Robert got more attention, then Robert said, "Cut that, don't do that," and then it became, "Okay, let's see each other, we'll see each other, we just won't talk about Robert," so it made it look like everything was good.
I
I thought it was really
we
good.
like our cult documentaries. We watched the one about oh, what was the one on Wild Wild Country?
Well, we love that one, and
Yep.
then we watched the one where he was branding the women. What was that one?
Oh, that
That
was the Nexium cult. We
Nexium
like that.
cult, yep.
Then there was also, I think we watched the one on Heaven's Gate, and we watched the David Koresh
Oh,
the one
I
with
like David.
Taylor
David
Kitsch.
seemed misunderstood.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
He did. And so did
Uh,
Bhagwan. I mean, Bhagwan seemed
Bhagwan was a good one. Here's the pro tip for those of you guys listening at home. If your church leader tells you to cut off your ties with your families, that's a bad sign. And then if your church leader tells you that you have to have sex with me because it's God's will, that's probably a bad sign too.
that was Robert. They always do that. They
Mhm.
always seem to want to have sex with, or they take a wife within the congregation.
Yeah.
I always say I would be a member of a cult all the time, but you pay me. You pay me first. You pay me. I would be a Scientologist, but you make me famous first, then I'll tie with you.
Wow.
Because if
Okay.
you have all the powers you say you do, then but it always works the other way. They always want you to tithe and give all your
We
money
should
to
start a
them.
cult. Let's do it. We're going to pay you guys to join our cult.
I'm ready.
Okay.
But they pay me first. You do the audits on me.
Mm.
Take me to the next level with your powers. Then you can help yourself.
I want those superpowers too if they're handing them out. Yep.
But they never do it. They always want the opposite. It's always you've got to pay the $100,000 for the audit.
Mm-hmm.
No, you give me
David
100 grand.
Miscavige, are you listening?
He runs commercials out here.
Yeah.
And I want to write to him, David, fantastic commercial. If you are willing to pay me $100,000, you can do the audit on me. You get me all the way to, I don't need Tom's career. I don't need a Tom Cruise career, but I need my own talk show, fans waiting out on the line, beloved. And then I will write you all the checks with interest. But they never do it that way.
Inquiring minds.
And Robert was the same way. All the TikTok dancers have to pay Robert. All the money goes into Robert's account.
Yeah.
And then, no, it was more than that. Wasn't that the thing? People were depositing all their money. Anyhow, it's a really good one. I think you should watch that.
Okay.
We liked it.
Yeah,
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
We've been watching that. We've been watching, I had to stop because I thought it was so dumb. What was it? Kong?
Godzilla -1.
Godzilla -1.
We still have to finish it.
I'm done.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, but once Godzilla in this is supposed to be, it's beautifully shot. Love the actors. Love everything about it. But once Godzilla is, when they shoot him, he is radioactive and becomes more powerful. I'm out. Like I can't.
You can't. No. It's a metaphor.
But isn't it bad? I should suspend reality, shouldn't I? I should suspend my reality and go into fiction, right?
Well,
Isn't that the
we
point?
can get you into sci-fi.
No, I'm going to pass on that. But anyway, but you said it's like people have said it's so good. They cry.
There were people who cried in the theater. So
at what part? Like when it becomes radioactive?
Well, we still have 50 minutes to watch. So let's buckle down tonight and do it. Okay.
All right. Talk to me about Caitlin Clark. And what's going on in the WNBA, because everybody is talking about this.
Topic.
It's a hot topic. I love a hot topic. I do have to disclose, I never really paid much attention to the WNBA. I did know Brittany Griner before Brittany Griner was a captive, a prisoner in Russia through somebody I worked with at Fox 5 DC. They were like good friends with her. So I knew of her. I'm trying to think if I've ever been to a WNBA game. I don't think so.
Okay.
So what do you make of, people are now talking about the WNBA attending more games than ever, and Caitlin Clark is getting a lot of credit for that. Angel Reese as well, but this new crop that's come into the WNBA. However, over the weekend, Kennedy, what's her last name?
Whatever it is.
So this one WNBA player, Kennedy, ends up taking this cheap shot. Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin falls to the ground. And this is uproar discussions on every sports show.
Well,
Dave Portnoy, my love, Dave Portnoy is in a, he's up in arms.
This is the final moment, because the attention for Caitlin Clark and the perhaps jealousy or animosity that's been brewing as part of it has been going on for the last year. And part of it is Caitlin Clark played 4, maybe even 5 years in college because of COVID. She got a COVID
Pandemic.
year.
Okay.
And incredible women's college basketball player, has the all-time scoring record. And Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, several of these players who are now rookies in the WNBA all had the benefit of getting additional attention in women's college basketball, as women's sports for that matter have become more and more popular and also sustainable on their own. And so
That's great.
it is great. And so the reality is with the WNBA, I think WNBA launched something like 96 or 97, maybe. So it's been around for, excuse me, for close to 30 years.
Okay.
But you said it yourself, and this is where your hidden misogyny might be
My internalized misogyny.
internalized misogyny, is that you never followed it. Well, no one followed it because it's no offense, it's women's basketball. It's as American sports fans, we like to watch the best. And so the NBA is the best. And the WNBA, though, with women's basketball in general, is now getting more attention, and that's awesome. Same thing with NWSL, women's soccer; it's getting more attention. And there's now a women's pro hockey league that started this past year, and that's awesome. So the issue that's now happening is she is getting a lot of attention. She's a rookie in the WNBA,
Okay.
and she's not lighting the league on fire, as no rookie would. I mean, even Michael Jordan and LeBron James, they weren't like dominant like they were later in their careers as rookies. So she's getting a lot of attention, and she, that foul by Kennedy Carter at this game, Chicago versus Indianapolis or Indiana, was a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot, but I think the fury that's taking place right now is there's
Okay, wait. Is Caitlin Clark? So, everyone's weighing in on this. Charles Barkley says to other WNBA players, Caitlin is bringing all this money to the table and y'all are being petty. That's
Mhm.
just one
Yep.
commentator. And Stephen A. Smith, they're all like, these ladies are going to blow this because if they don't get that rising tides lift all boats, that, okay, fine, whether she is all that or not, she is bringing so much attention to this league. Like, let's help her. And a lot of people are saying, we're her teammates, which I do think, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
is she a bitch? Like, is that why? Is
Well,
she
so
an awful
so this
teammate?
is the thing is she's a competitor. There are clips you'll see of her talking smack on the court. You'll see her like earlier in the game, she kind of got a little elbow in on Kennedy. So like she's not a saint by any means. But these are women who are being competitive, but you have to, it's not to say you have to put her in glass and not touch her, right? There's a difference between hard fouls and cheap shots. What Kennedy Carter did was a cheap shot. It was not a basketball play. There was a series a few games ago where Angel Reese got hit pretty hard, but it was during a basketball play. It might have been on the borderline of basketball play and cheap shot. But what Kennedy Carter did was a cheap shot, and then to make it even worse, Angel Reese is then congratulating her, like slapping her on the back of the next time out. And then Angel Reese refused to talk to the media afterward, and she got fined $1,000, which is a pretty big sum for WNBA players because they don't make a whole lot of money. So it's not a good look. If she's getting hit while playing basketball, that's just being competitive. But if these are the plays that are can continue, then yeah, it's a silly thing. You can find a way to um, no one's asking people to bow down to her, but at the same time, be appreciative of the attention she's bringing to the game.
Do you think these women can do that? Because I'm sort of on the fence. I think about how much I've grown from the age of 23 or 25, whatever these
Mhm.
players are, till 40. And I don't know if I could have seen the forest through the trees. Like, I feel like these women have an opportunity, if they can see the big picture, to get, like, you're never going to get this opportunity ever again. Like, to play in the league with her for the next 4 years, whether you like her, you hate her, or whatever.
Yep.
This is your time to really make this sport something. But I don't know if
So
they're mature enough to
there's
get
a
it.
pettiness when
I
you're a
know.
competitor. It's easy to become petty, and I'll give you a great example. When Jordan was in his first All-Star game, I think it was either as a rookie or as a second
Okay.
year.
Was I born then?
Yes.
Okay.
Isaiah Thomas of my Detroit Pistons was on the same All-Star team as Michael Jordan, and because of the attention he was getting, they froze him out during the game. Like they didn't pass to him.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. All right.
that's
All right.
petty. Like that's petty. But they're also, they're competitive. Like this guy's, yeah, he's our teammate today, but we're competing with him for playoff spots. That's, we're not giving this guy the ball. We're not giving him any more attention or love. Um, so that sort of thing happens. I think that where it's perilous for the WNBA is this league has been around now for almost getting close to 30 years, and it's just now getting the attention. So forest through the trees, hey, we don't have to like her. We don't have to crown her, but let's also be appreciative of the attention she's bringing this league that prior to this was not really getting a whole lot of attention.
Okay. So, what's your prediction as a man who loves sports? You're not going to die on me until we're in our 80s. Like,
Hmm.
that's our pact. We have to live at least until 70. Then we can get divorced and go to the villages and have sex and do cocaine.
Hmm.
But okay, because I'm going to bury you in a sports bar because you love
Hmm.
that's where
I
you.
like watching sports from home. Can you
Okay, well
bury
then fine.
me?
I'll
Just keep the urn near the TV.
okay, well, there we go. I'll keep the urn near the TV because you love sports.
Mhm.
What's your prediction? Do you think these women can like because it's they're only still like a few games in, right? It's still very new. So do you think they get it under control and they all harness this? Do you feel like this is going to explode? Where do you think?
It'll get under control. And if she were to, part of this is they're more than just a few games in.
Oh,
They front loaded the schedule because of the Paris Olympics,
oh,
because they're going to
okay.
take a hiatus during the Paris Olympics so Team USA can go play, and they have international players who also represent their countries. So there's a lot of basketball going on right now. Like they played something like 11 games in 21 days. It's something ridiculous. So um it will settle down, because if it continues to escalate at
Okay.
some point, fines will get issued, memos will be sent, and they'll all be generic. But I think there will be a settling in at some point.
Okay, well, I can't wait. I mean, again, I'm not a big sports consumer, whether it's men or women.
You
Like
don't say.
I enjoy the NFL. I love to go to a baseball game once in a while, mostly for the popcorn and the hot dogs.
Mhm.
But
So you
you
like to
know,
go to the fair,
I almost
basically.
ended up
Yeah.
with an MLB player, so I have like
Mhm.
an affinity, if you
Mhm.
will, for it. I
Talk
love
about that sliding doors moment there.
so I mean, I love a major league baseball player mostly with the idea of having sex with them. That's sort of but I do kind of want to go to a WNBA game to support. I
Let's go.
love when the women are shining and
LA has a team.
I kind of want to go. Are they going to play Caitlin Clark? I want to go.
We should look at the schedule and see.
All right. Okay. We'll go. I just don't want the women to blow it because I feel like this is such a huge moment in women's sports. I'm like, ladies, let me tell you a little story about the Kane show
Mm,
and, jealousy and how it all imploded when it was one of the greatest things going. So, anyhow.
okay.
All right, lastly really quick. So we put out on my IG story over the weekend. KJ is getting up at like 5:30 in the morning. Schman insists on putting him to bed at 7:30. Gets up at 5:30 now, 5:45. Absolutely up by 6. Honey, the sun has only peaked out. The sun doesn't even want to get up and this kid is like chittering, chattering to himself. And he takes almost a 2-hour nap in the afternoon. Do we cut the nap or we push the bedtime back?
Okay. Let me qualify a few statements. Um, it's not that I want him to go to bed at 7:30. He starts winding down and he's tired around 7:30. So he goes to bed sometime between 7:30 and 7:45, depending on how we're feeling, depending on how he's feeling. And he has a lot of energy. He wakes up and he's shot out of a cannon. He's like you with that first cup of coffee. You're ready to go. So he has a lot of energy. It sometimes manifests in him waking up at 5:30, or he's usually sitting there talking to himself by 6 a.m. each morning. And he's super energetic. He wants to get out and run and play with his cars and trains, and he's all fired up. So I look at it this way, and we'll get to your unsolicited internet advice. Actually, no, it was solicited internet advice.
Yeah, because people
Um,
have good suggestions.
he is sleeping for about 10 hours at night and then 2 hours during the day. And he's supposed to sleep between 11 and 13 hours a day, cumulative.
I thought it was like 11 hours is ideal.
11, well, 11 to 13 total hours. And he's sleeping around 12. So in my mind, he's right where he needs to be.
Okay, why is he getting up then at the crack of Zip's ass?
Because he needs his 10 hours and he's ready to go.
People online are saying, like, we need a life, like, this is too early. Jennifer writes to us, cut the nap, move bedtime by 30 minutes to 8 p.m. Thank you, Jennifer. 2-hour nap? Too long. Cut it to 1 hour. Bedtime between 8 and 8:30 from Elizabeth. Okay, I agree with that. Then we have a woman says, my baby stopped napping at 15 months, but a 1 hour nap is a good idea at this age. Do a slow transition, cut his nap time by 10 minutes a week until you get down to 1 hour. Good luck. Don't change your sleep for him. It's not fair for you guys. You guys need your downtime, and being forced to go to sleep at 7 p.m. is ridiculous. I agree.
Well,
when are you going to take people's advice?
Well, he goes to a daycare where he sleeps for 90 minutes to 2 hours. So part of this is going to, I think we can coincide it with his daycare. And we've started to reduce his nap length, but I think we need to get some blackout curtains to make it darker in his room, because it is pretty light. The blinds that our apartment provide are not high end by any means. So we should get some blackout curtains, make it darker. Maybe he'll sleep a little bit longer. And then I have the trick with I haven't tried it yet with the sound machine of putting the red light on.
People did.
Yeah, the red light when it's time to stay in your bed, green light when it's time to wake up, so that when he sees the red light when he wakes up, he'll hopefully close his eyes and go back to bed.
And then Susie writes, whatever you do, don't give him your cell phone. I'm battling with my 15-year-old nephew at the moment. He has been on the phone since age 2. It's a drug. Don't get
We've seen that.
I agree. It is like a weird, it's really crazy how possessed he is over the phone.
He loves his train videos. And sometimes we give it to him, and then it's weaning him off it.
I want to get away from the phone. I don't want to give, I'm going to be like Chip and Joanna Gaines. They don't give their children phones until 18. I think they have 5 or 6 kids. That's a whole nother discussion. We don't have to go there yet because KJ's so far away. But what are we're going to have some real parenting decisions on our hands. Like, when can KJ date? When can he have a cell phone?
Middle school.
Okay. I don't know. I was thinking later.
Okay. Well,
when does he get his first pair of Jordans? Like $200. Oh. Okay, sorry. All the kids out here have Jordans. You're not going to buy him one?
No, he can earn it through chores.
That's so, okay. Who wants to do that?
Teach him the value of hard work and money.
I can't stand, I'm so glad I didn't have parents like every time you wanted something, you gotta earn it. No, just buy it for me. That's why you're the parent. I didn't ask to be born. Get me the Jordans that I want.
We're going to have a whole more discussion.
All right, Lovey. Okay. You can follow me on TikTok for more at the Sarah Fraser Show.
Watch your dance moves
and
on
watch
TikTok. Stick to podcasting.
Like, I love when they all look into each other's eyes. Oh, and then they like slide around.
It's something.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.